Hi. The Schoolhouse of Rock needs your help now more than we have ever needed it before. Because of COVID-19, we lost about 90% of our students, and we lost all of our teachers except for one, other than me, obviously. As a result, we haven't been able to pay our rent for the last 3 months, and there's no guarantee that we'll be able to pay our rent for the next coming months. The first week that COVID hit, I'll never forget. Most people don't understand that gigging musicians rely on gigs for the majority of their income. Well, when all the restaurants closed down, all the gigs dried up. I'll never forget talking to Adam Ackerman in our lobby when he told me that the Gaslight Theater had closed until further notice. I'd never seen him so upset. Adam's a pretty cool cat, but he was definitely shaken. And that's when I knew that this was going to be difficult. The last few months have been scary for everyone, and I understand that. And although there is a light at the end of the tunnel, the Schoolhouse of Rock is not out of the woods. We need to raise upwards of about $10,000 by the end of this month, which is in 3 days. If we don't do that, we will be locked out of the building on June 1st. And the Schoolhouse of Rock as we know it will be dead. I've been so sick with worry over my students and my teachers that I've lost another 15 pounds and I haven't been sleeping. Seeing kids be this depressed is really difficult as a teacher. The few students that we retained during this transition that I've been Zooming lessons with range from doing fairly okay to doing terribly. They're depressed, and they're not depressed because of a chemical imbalance or because they're dealing with early childhood trauma. They're depressed because they should be depressed. They're living in a depressing circumstance. And what's worse is, as adults, we don't have an answer for them. We don't have great advice because we don't know what to tell them. We've never been through this before. This is the first time I've ever been quarantined. I don't know about you. So what do you tell a 10-year-old who hasn't seen his friends for 3 months or anyone outside of his family? It really breaks my heart. But at the same time, it makes me really excited because I know that some really awesome music will inevitably be the result of this pandemic. I just want to make sure that the Schoolhouse of Rock is there for those musicians when they're ready to write about it. I moved to Tucson 15 years ago with 2 bags of clothes, no ID, no bank account, no money, no friends, and a serious opiate addiction. To have come this far, to close it all, seems bitterly unjust. When I opened the schoolhouse, I made a vow to myself that I would never turn a student away simply because they couldn't afford lessons. If they wanted to take lessons, and they really did, and their family couldn't afford it, I would still teach them. I've held up my end of that bargain for 15 years. Now I am asking you as a community to hold up your end of the bargain. No, we never agreed to a bargain, Sarah. You did, though. You do. Every single time you put on a playlist, every single time you sing along to a song on the radio, every single time you go to a show, every single time you sing one of your kids to sleep, you're agreeing to the bargain. And the bargain is this: we don't need music. We don't need the arts, but we need them. Music is intangible, but it is one of the most powerful forces on earth. We can't see it, but it moves us. It has the potential to soften some of the most stoic hearts, while at the same time inciting violence and passion in young people. It can change the world. It does change the world. I love what I do. I love working with kids and watching them learn how to express themselves using the language of music. Please, please help me keep the Schoolhouse of Rock open, so there's a place for these kids to go when this pandemic is over, where they can write music and record it and play it on our stage. Our student government, which is Ben Otto, Ailsa Douglas, Scarlett Reed, and Race Gibson, all should play their first show at the Schoolhouse of Rock. That's the future I want to see. Without having that outlet, coping with things like COVID can seem overwhelming and completely impossible. But music gives us a little bit of leeway or freedom, something, hope. It's what gets me out of bed in the morning. In addition to paying our rent in arrears, I would like to pay the rest of our lease up until October, because there is no guarantee that we will be able to make rent every month until October. And that will buy us enough time to either choose to stay in the location that we're in currently, or if necessary to, find a smaller location. Additionally, I would like to give Adam Ackerman at $1,500 and Oliver Dewey $1,000 and Max Cohen $1,000, simply because they are great musicians and they deserve it. And most musicians are not financially prepared for any disaster at all. In fact, most companies with 500 employees or fewer have less than a month's worth of cash or liquid assets on hand at any given time to help their company. So we're not that weird, but we are typical musicians. Please, please consider what I'm saying and go to our GoFundMe and think about your favorite song and think about who wrote it and think about what if they hadn't had the opportunity to write it. What if they hadn't had an environment where they felt safe or comfortable to write it in? It might not exist. I don't want to live in that world. I don't think you do either. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for supporting the Schoolhouse of Rock. If this is going to be it, it's been a great 15 years. But let's make it 30, guys. Come on. And finally,